Hello everyone and happy Valentine's weekend. My son bought me these roses. I think they're so beautiful and it was so thoughtful of him to think of me. So being that it's the weekend of romance, I thought I would share my button collection. I basically have this really nice cabinet. I got it for free, but I had to have it moved because it's just way too heavy. It's glass and it lights up and it's vintage, and a person I knew, actually a client I worked with when I was in corporate America, he was clearing out his house because he was moving, and he offered this to me. So that's where I keep my stash of buttons. I'm not a button connoisseur or button collector. Some people would probably tell me I'm doing this wrong because I'm storing them in glass jars and other types of storage containers. There's just something about a button. It evokes fond memories of when I was living with my grandmother and she sewed the most amazing clothing and doll clothes and all of her crafts that she did. That's where I got my love for buttons. So here is a vintage canning jar that came from an antique store. But these buttons did not come in the jar. I used to go antiquing a lot. My uncle owned an antique store and I got my love for antiquing through him. And while going button hunting, whenever I hit an antique store with a jar of buttons, I would always pick them up because this was, I would say, 20 years ago or so, not recently. Every time I'd go somewhere, a jar like this would only be $5. And then I would just separate them by color into the jars. This jar here is shades of brown. I had a lot of brown, as you can see here. Then I have the pretty blue shades in that jar. I also picked up this very old box of buttons. Look at those beauties. I probably got these little cardboard containers at like a TJ Maxx or Home Goods years ago. And this one is filled with white buttons. I have another container, and I think those are the black buttons in there. And as you could see, a lot of the buttons are on cards still. Like, I never removed them from the cards. Even when I sorted them by color, these are red buttons. I even have bags of buttons that I picked up at thrift shops. And, people do this a lot too. They'll go to Goodwill and buy shirts just to cut the buttons off and then sell them like that. Like here we have, this bag was $3. I've never gone through these bags yet. As you see, they're not organized in any particular way. They're just in the bag I bought them as. And look at these beauties. Brass floral buttons, probably hand painted. Here's another really nice bag of buttons. I paid $2 for it. I have this nice card by Singer of white buttons. I also save any buttons that come on clothing that I buy. Every time there's an extra button, I just throw it in my button stash. There's another, this one's really pretty, this green one here. This one says 2/25. I wasn't antiquing in February of 25. So those are probably, if I had to guess, the antique booth owners, their numbers of the booth or however they code it when they price out their goods in their booth. Look at these, $1 I paid for that whole bag. Brass. And here's a real bag of beauties. What stunners. Those are very pretty. Now all these buttons pretty much came from Walmart. As you can see, they're novelty buttons. I may have even ordered them from Joann Fabrics when they were around because I did have two near me and I would just place an order online and have them ship it back when I had small children and because I did a lot of crafts back then. So these are newer, these aren't vintage. But look how fun, all the novelty buttons. I used to go antiquing and find jars like this, but filled all of the time for $5. Now this one probably was full, but I already separated them by color. So there's just a little left in this one to separate. And then I have all these on another shelf behind a little door on the cabinet. And these are really nice too. So this one here is like a cork top bottle. I got this at an antique store. Button set, $4.50. And look how old these are. Look at those little round buttons. Isn't that cool? This was a giant bag of buttons. All different ones. There's a flea market near me. This lady bought the entire Walmart craft department at one of the stores near me. And she opened a flea market booth. It took up an entire level of the flea market. It was like a 3-story building. And I went there and she had so much fabulous stuff. And she was offering these carded buttons and things for $0.25. She had vintage things too, which this looks like that is. But I was just making a point to say she bought out an entire Walmart craft department and opened a flea market. Then here, this entire box was $6.50, or no, $6, I'm sorry. I also pick up bags of craft notions and sewing notions whenever I see them. This one is marked $5. I don't remember where I bought this. That's funny, the original tag is on here. Obviously those are vintage. 3/4 inch gold, $2 each. And I paid $5 for the bag. Buckle lot. Here's another mixed bag of real beauties. All the old buttons. Those there are really beautiful. They're by Costume Maker. Oh yeah, here we go. This came from an antique booth. $5. I'm not a button expert, and I know there are a lot of people out there that know their buttons. Now these did come from Walmart. I bought them when my daughter was little because I was making her some kind of costume. And I just put them in a little travel bottle. And these are cool. I don't know where I got them or what I paid, but they're round. They almost look like marbles, but they're buttons. That is really cool. And then I also have this little bag of mixed buttons. This bag too. And I saved the best for last. Look at these beautiful rhinestone buttons. I love bling. Look at that. So beautiful. And you can see where they cut it off of fabric. The fabric is still on there. I don't know what I paid for these. There's no marking. For all you button lovers out there, I hope you enjoyed this today. I love going through old vintage sewing notions and buttons because it brings back fond memories of when I was growing up with my grandparents on the farm. And my grandmother sewed my clothing and my doll clothes. It just brings me back to home. I hope you all have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Thanks for watching. Take care.